Have you ever wondered why your blood sugar stays high even when you're trying to eat healthy? Maybe you've switched from soda to fruit juice. Maybe you've started eating oatmeal every morning. Maybe you've cut back on desserts, yet your energy still crashes after lunch. You struggle with stubborn belly fat, and your doctor tells you your blood sugar is creeping higher every year. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. Here's something that surprises many people. Lowering blood sugar isn't just about avoiding sugar. In fact, some foods that are marketed as healthy can cause a larger glucose spike than foods people mistakenly think are unhealthy. So the real question isn't which foods contain sugar. The real question is which foods help your body control sugar. Because your body is constantly making decisions about glucose. Every meal sends signals to your pancreas, your liver, your muscles, your gut, and even your brain. When those signals are working together, blood sugar stays remarkably stable. But when they become disrupted, insulin has to work harder and harder to keep glucose under control. Here's what's really going on inside your body. Think of insulin as a key that unlocks your cells so glucose can enter and be used for energy. When your cells stop responding efficiently, a condition called insulin resistance, your pancreas simply produces more insulin. At first, this keeps blood sugar looking almost normal. But behind the scenes, insulin levels remain elevated for years. That higher insulin environment promotes fat storage, increases hunger, encourages inflammation, and eventually allows blood sugar to rise as the pancreas struggles to keep up. So the goal isn't simply lowering glucose for a few hours. The goal is improving the entire metabolic system that regulates glucose every minute of every day. And here's the encouraging news. Certain foods don't just avoid raising blood sugar, they actively improve insulin sensitivity, nourish your gut microbiome, reduce inflammation, support liver function, and help your muscles remove glucose from your bloodstream more efficiently. Research continues to show that dietary fiber, minimally processed whole foods, and balanced meals can improve fasting glucose, insulin sensitivity, and long-term metabolic health. Throughout this video, I'm going to explain exactly which foods deserve a permanent place on your plate, why they work at the physiological level, and how to combine them for the greatest effect. We'll also cover several foods that appear healthy, but can quietly sabotage blood sugar, along with simple meal strategies that flatten glucose spikes without making your diet complicated. My goal isn't to give you another restrictive diet. My goal is to help you understand how your metabolism actually works so you can make decisions that improve your energy, protect your brain, support healthy aging, reduce your risk of type 2 diabetes, and make fat loss easier naturally. If you're serious about taking control of your metabolic health using science instead of guesswork, you're in the right place. If I had to recommend just one category of foods that almost everyone looking to improve their blood sugar should eat more of, it would be non-starchy vegetables. That might not sound exciting. Most people are looking for a miracle fruit, a special tea, or an exotic supplement. But the truth is that some of the most powerful foods for improving blood sugar have been sitting in the produce section all along. Here's what's really going on inside your body. Imagine your digestive system is a highway, and glucose molecules are cars trying to reach your bloodstream. If that highway is completely open, thousands of cars rush through at once, creating a traffic surge in your blood sugar. Your pancreas has to respond immediately by releasing a large amount of insulin to move that glucose into your cells. Now imagine placing several controlled checkpoints along that highway. The traffic slows down. Cars enter gradually instead of all at once. Your pancreas doesn't need to work nearly as hard. Insulin stays lower, and your blood sugar rises much more gently. That's exactly what dietary fiber does. Non-starchy vegetables are loaded with both soluble and insoluble fiber. Soluble fiber absorbs water and forms a gel-like substance inside your digestive tract. This slows the breakdown and absorption of carbohydrates, reducing the sharp glucose spikes that often follow meals. Insoluble fiber adds bulk, supports healthy digestion, and helps maintain a diverse gut microbiome. What the research shows is that higher intakes of vegetables and dietary fiber are consistently associated with better insulin sensitivity, lower fasting glucose, and a reduced risk of developing type 2 diabetes. Clinical studies have also shown that increasing fiber intake can significantly reduce post-meal blood sugar excursions and improve long-term glucose control. But vegetables do much more than provide fiber. They're also rich in magnesium, a mineral involved in hundreds of enzymatic reactions, including insulin signaling. Low magnesium intake has been linked with insulin resistance and poorer blood sugar control. Leafy greens such as spinach, Swiss chard, kale, and arugula are excellent natural sources. Vegetables are also packed with antioxidants and phytochemicals that help reduce chronic inflammation. And that's important because inflammation interferes with how insulin communicates with your cells. When inflammation decreases, insulin often becomes more effective at doing its job. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Think of insulin as someone knocking on the front door of your cells. Inflammation is like loud music blasting inside the house. The cells don't hear the knock very well. The pancreas responds by sending more insulin to pound on the door. As inflammation quiets down, the cells become more responsive. The same amount of insulin suddenly works much better. That's one reason vegetables have such a powerful effect over time. So which vegetables deserve a regular place on your plate? Start with leafy greens like spinach, kale, romaine lettuce, and arugula. Add cruciferous vegetables such as broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, and cabbage. Include colorful vegetables like bell peppers, zucchini, cucumbers, asparagus, mushrooms, green beans, celery, and tomatoes. Notice something important. These foods provide a tremendous amount of nutrition with very little impact on blood sugar. They're high in fiber, high in vitamins, high in minerals, high in water, and naturally low in digestible carbohydrates. One of the easiest strategies I recommend is something called the vegetable-first approach. Instead of beginning your meal with bread, rice, or potatoes, start with a generous serving of vegetables or a salad. Eating fiber-rich vegetables before starches has been shown to reduce the post-meal glucose response because the fiber slows gastric emptying and carbohydrate absorption. Here's a simple protocol you can begin today. Aim to fill at least half of your lunch and dinner plate with non-starchy vegetables. Try to include at least 3 different colors throughout the day. Different colors provide different phytonutrients that support metabolic health in unique ways. Whenever possible, leave the edible skins on vegetables. That's where much of the fiber and many beneficial plant compounds are found. And don't worry if fresh vegetables aren't always available. Frozen vegetables are an excellent alternative. They're usually frozen shortly after harvest, preserving much of their nutritional value while making healthy eating more convenient and affordable. One common mistake people make is relying on vegetable juices instead of whole vegetables. Juicing removes much of the fiber, the very component that helps stabilize blood sugar. Whole vegetables almost always outperform juice when it comes to glucose control because they preserve the natural structure of the food. Remember, you're not simply eating vegetables to reduce calories. You're eating them because they change how your entire metabolic system processes glucose. They slow digestion. They nourish beneficial gut bacteria. They reduce inflammation. They improve insulin sensitivity. And they help your pancreas do its job with far less effort. If this is helpful so far, consider subscribing. Every day, I break down the science of metabolism, nutrition, and healthy aging into practical strategies you can use immediately. My goal isn't just to tell you what to eat. It's to help you understand why it works so you can make confident decisions for your long-term health. Now that we've established why fiber-rich vegetables are the foundation of blood sugar control, let's talk about the nutrient that often determines whether your blood sugar stays stable for hours or spikes and crashes shortly after you eat. That nutrient is protein. Surprisingly, many people who struggle with elevated blood sugar don't actually eat too many carbohydrates alone. They often eat meals that are too low in protein. Think about a typical breakfast: a bowl of cereal, toast with jam, a muffin and coffee, even a smoothie made mostly from fruit. These meals are dominated by carbohydrates and contain very little protein. As a result, glucose enters the bloodstream quickly, insulin rises sharply, and within a few hours, many people feel hungry, tired, and ready for another snack. Here's what's really going on inside your body. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Imagine you're building a campfire. Carbohydrates are like dry paper. They ignite quickly, producing a burst of energy that disappears just as fast. Protein, on the other hand, is like a thick log. It burns slowly, providing a steady, consistent source of fuel over time. When every meal contains adequate protein, your body digests food more gradually. The stomach empties more slowly, glucose enters the bloodstream at a controlled pace, and insulin doesn't have to respond as aggressively. This is one reason higher protein meals often produce a much flatter blood sugar curve. But protein does something even more important. It helps preserve and build skeletal muscle. And muscle is one of the largest glucose storage organs in the entire body. Every time you eat carbohydrates, much of that glucose is supposed to be stored inside your muscles as glycogen. The more healthy muscle tissue you have, and the more insulin sensitive that muscle is, the more efficiently your body can remove glucose from the bloodstream. Think of your muscles as giant storage warehouses. When the warehouses are large, active, and well-maintained, incoming glucose has somewhere to go. But when muscle mass declines due to aging, inactivity, or inadequate protein intake, those storage warehouses become much smaller. Glucose remains in the bloodstream longer, forcing your pancreas to produce more insulin. This is one reason insulin resistance becomes more common with age. People naturally lose muscle over time unless they actively maintain it through adequate protein intake and resistance exercise. What the research shows is that consuming sufficient protein throughout the day helps preserve lean muscle mass, improves satiety, supports healthy weight management, and contributes to better glucose regulation, especially when combined with strength training. Now, this raises an important question. How much protein should you actually eat? There's no single number that fits everyone. Your needs depend on your age, body size, activity level, and health goals. However, one practical strategy is to include a meaningful source of high-quality protein at every meal, instead of consuming most of it only at dinner. For many adults, aiming for roughly 25 to 35 grams of protein per meal is a reasonable starting point, though individual needs can vary. So, what does that look like in real life? Excellent choices include eggs, Greek yogurt with no added sugar, cottage cheese, chicken breast, turkey, fish like salmon, sardines, trout, or tuna, lean beef in moderation, tofu and tempeh, edamame, lentils and beans when paired with plenty of vegetables, unsweetened, protein-rich dairy products. Fish deserves special attention because many varieties also provide omega-3 fatty acids, which may help reduce inflammation, a major contributor to insulin resistance. Another common mistake I see is people fearing protein because they're worried about eating too much. For healthy individuals, moderate protein intake from whole food sources is not only safe, but plays an essential role in maintaining muscle, metabolic health, and healthy aging. The real problem is often the opposite. Many people dramatically underestimate how much protein they need to support healthy muscles and stable blood sugar. Timing also matters. Starting your day with a protein-rich breakfast instead of a high-sugar breakfast can make a remarkable difference in how you feel for the rest of the day. Imagine eating two different breakfasts. The first is a large bowl of sugary cereal. The second is eggs with spinach, avocado, and a side of plain Greek yogurt. Both provide calories, but your body's hormonal response is completely different. The protein-rich breakfast slows digestion, reduces hunger hormones, increases satiety hormones, and helps prevent the dramatic glucose spike and crash that often drives cravings later in the afternoon. Many people notice they snack less, have more consistent energy, and experience fewer sugar cravings simply by upgrading breakfast. Here's a practical protocol you can start tomorrow morning. Before thinking about your carbohydrates, ask yourself one question. Where is my protein? Then build the rest of your meal around that answer. Add vegetables, include a healthy fat, choose minimally processed carbohydrates if you want them. That simple shift changes the entire metabolic response to your meal. Remember, protein isn't just about building muscle. It's about creating a metabolism that's better equipped to manage glucose, maintain energy, reduce cravings, and support long-term health. And when we combine protein with the next category of foods, the benefits become even greater. For decades, many people believed that eating fat automatically made you gain fat or increased your risk of metabolic disease. As a result, supermarket shelves became filled with low-fat products. But there was one major problem. When manufacturers removed fat, they often replaced it with refined starches, added sugars, and highly processed ingredients to improve taste and texture. The result? Many of these healthy, low-fat foods actually caused larger blood sugar spikes than the full-fat versions they replaced. Here's what's really going on inside your body. Unlike refined carbohydrates, healthy fats have very little direct impact on blood glucose. They don't rapidly break down into glucose, and they require very little insulin for metabolism. More importantly, when healthy fats are eaten alongside protein and fiber, they slow gastric emptying, the rate at which food leaves your stomach. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Imagine pouring water through a funnel. If the funnel is completely open, the water rushes through almost instantly. That's similar to eating a meal made mostly of refined carbohydrates. Glucose floods into your bloodstream, forcing your pancreas to release a large amount of insulin. Now imagine partially narrowing the funnel. The water still flows, but much more gradually. That's what healthy fats do. They slow the movement of food through your digestive system, creating a steadier release of glucose into the bloodstream. Instead of a sharp spike followed by a crash, your body experiences a smoother, more controlled rise in blood sugar. This slower digestion also has another major advantage. It keeps you feeling full for longer. One reason people overeat is that meals made almost entirely of refined carbohydrates digest very quickly. Blood sugar rises, insulin surges, and just a few hours later, hunger returns. By combining healthy fats with protein and fiber, meals become far more satisfying, reducing the urge to snack between meals. What the research shows is that dietary patterns rich in unsaturated fats, particularly those found in foods like olive oil, nuts, seeds, and avocados, are associated with improved insulin sensitivity, better cardiovascular health, and a lower risk of developing type 2 diabetes. These foods are also central to dietary patterns such as the Mediterranean diet, which consistently ranks among the most effective eating patterns for long-term metabolic health. So which fats should you prioritize? Start with extra virgin olive oil. It's rich in monounsaturated fats and powerful polyphenols that help reduce oxidative stress and inflammation. Drizzle it over salads, roasted vegetables, or cooked fish, instead of relying on highly processed vegetable oils. Next, include avocados. They're loaded with heart-healthy monounsaturated fats, fiber, potassium, and magnesium, all nutrients that support healthy blood sugar regulation. Then come nuts and seeds. Almonds, walnuts, pistachios, chia seeds, flax seeds, pumpkin seeds. These foods provide a unique combination of healthy fats, plant protein, fiber, magnesium, and antioxidants. Even a small handful can improve satiety and reduce the blood sugar response to a meal. Fatty fish such as salmon, sardines, trout, and mackerel deserve another special mention. They're rich in omega-3 fatty acids, which help regulate inflammation. Since chronic, low-grade inflammation contributes to insulin resistance, reducing inflammation supports healthier metabolic function over time. But here's an important point. Healthy fats are powerful, but they're not unlimited. Fat contains more than twice as many calories per gram as protein or carbohydrates. That doesn't make it unhealthy, but it does mean portion awareness still matters, especially if weight loss is one of your goals. The objective isn't to eat large amounts of fat. The objective is to replace unhealthy, highly processed fats with natural, minimally processed sources while building balanced meals. Here's a practical meal building strategy. Picture your dinner plate. Half of the plate is filled with colorful, non-starchy vegetables. A quarter of the plate contains a high-quality protein source. The remaining quarter includes a minimally processed carbohydrate if desired, such as beans, lentils, quinoa, or sweet potato. Then, finish the meal with a healthy fat, perhaps sliced avocado, a drizzle of extra virgin olive oil, or a sprinkle of walnuts or pumpkin seeds. Notice what happened. You didn't eliminate carbohydrates. You simply changed the metabolic context in which your body processes them. Fiber slows digestion. Protein improves satiety and supports muscle. Healthy fats extend fullness and moderate the glucose response. Together, these three nutrients work as a team, allowing insulin to do its job far more efficiently. One more mistake worth avoiding is relying on highly processed keto snacks simply because they're low in carbohydrates. Many of these products contain refined oils, artificial ingredients, and very little nutritional value. Whole foods almost always outperform packaged convenience foods when it comes to long-term metabolic health. Remember, food is more than calories. Food is information. Every bite sends signals to your hormones, your liver, your gut microbiome, and your cells. Choosing healthy fats is one way of sending the message that your body can operate efficiently, rather than constantly fighting inflammation and unstable blood sugar. If this video is helping you understand your metabolism in a completely new way, consider subscribing. Every day, I share practical, science-based strategies to help you improve your energy, support healthy aging, optimize fat burning, and take control of your health, one simple habit at a time. If there were a single nutrient that could improve blood sugar control, reduce hunger, support your gut microbiome, lower cholesterol, and even help with weight management, all without adding a single calorie, it would be fiber. Yet, despite its incredible benefits, most adults consume far less fiber than health experts recommend. That's unfortunate because fiber is one of the most powerful tools for improving metabolic health naturally. Here's what's really going on inside your body. When most people hear the word carbohydrates, they imagine bread, pasta, rice, or sugar. But fiber is also a carbohydrate, one that your body cannot fully digest. Instead of being rapidly broken down into glucose, fiber moves through your digestive tract much more slowly, creating a completely different metabolic response. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Imagine pouring sugar directly into a glass of water. It dissolves almost instantly. Now imagine dropping in a thick sponge. The sponge absorbs water slowly, releases it gradually, and changes the entire flow. That's exactly what soluble fiber does inside your digestive system. It absorbs water and forms a gel-like substance that slows the digestion of food. As carbohydrates are broken down more gradually, glucose enters the bloodstream at a controlled pace instead of flooding it all at once. This gives your pancreas more time to release insulin efficiently, helping prevent those dramatic post-meal blood sugar spikes that contribute to insulin resistance over time. But the story doesn't end there. Fiber also feeds one of the most overlooked organs involved in blood sugar control, your gut microbiome. Your digestive tract is home to trillions of microorganisms. When these beneficial bacteria consume fiber, they produce compounds called short-chain fatty acids, including butyrate, acetate, and propionate. These compounds have remarkable effects throughout the body. They help strengthen the lining of the intestine, reduce inflammation, improve communication between the gut and the brain, enhance insulin sensitivity, and even stimulate hormones like GLP-1 and PYY that increase fullness and help regulate blood sugar. In other words, when you feed your gut bacteria, they help regulate your metabolism in return. What the research shows is that people who consistently eat higher fiber diets tend to have lower fasting glucose, improved insulin sensitivity, healthier gut microbiomes, and a reduced risk of developing type 2 diabetes and cardiovascular disease. So where should your fiber come from? Whole foods. Healthy fats help slow digestion, reduce inflammation, and keep you satisfied between meals. Fiber nourishes your gut microbiome, supports insulin sensitivity, and acts like your body's natural blood sugar regulator. Fermented foods and polyphenol-rich plants strengthen the beneficial bacteria in your gut, creating an internal environment that supports healthy metabolism rather than working against it. And finally, we learned that how you eat matters just as much as what you eat. Building balanced meals, eating vegetables and protein before starches, taking a short walk after meals, getting enough sleep, managing chronic stress. These simple habits work together to improve insulin sensitivity and reduce unnecessary glucose spikes throughout the day. Here's something that's worth remembering. Your body is incredibly adaptable. Every healthy meal you eat sends a signal. Every walk after dinner sends a signal. Every good night's sleep sends a signal. Every strength training session sends a signal. Those signals tell your cells to become more insulin sensitive, your muscles to store more glucose, your liver to regulate blood sugar more effectively, and your metabolism to work the way it was designed to. That's why small daily decisions matter so much. You don't need to overhaul your entire life overnight. In fact, trying to change everything at once usually isn't sustainable. Instead, choose 1 or 2 habits from today's video and commit to them for the next 2 weeks. For example, start every lunch and dinner with vegetables. Replace sugary breakfast cereals with a protein-rich breakfast. Add beans or lentils to a few meals each week. Swap sugary drinks for water or unsweetened tea. Take a 15-minute walk after dinner. Aim for an extra hour of sleep each night. These may seem like small changes, but they're exactly the kinds of habits that compound over time. Your metabolism responds to what you do consistently, not occasionally. If you have access to a continuous glucose monitor or your healthcare provider recommends checking your blood sugar, use it as a learning tool. Different people can respond differently to the same foods, so paying attention to your own body's response can help you personalize these principles. One final reminder before we finish. If you already have diabetes, take medications that lower blood sugar, or use insulin, don't make major dietary changes without discussing them with your healthcare professional. Improving your diet can lower blood sugar significantly, and in some cases, your medication plan may need to be adjusted safely. Your goal isn't just to lower a number on a blood test. Your goal is to build a healthier metabolism, a metabolism that gives you steady energy, clearer thinking, better weight control, a healthier heart, a stronger brain, and the opportunity to enjoy more years of healthy, active living. So here's my challenge for you. Choose just one change from today's video and start today. Not next Monday, not next month, today. Because every healthy meal is an investment in your future self, and every positive decision moves you one step closer to better metabolic health. If you found this video valuable, please take a moment to like the video and subscribe. Every day, I share practical, evidence-based strategies to help you improve your metabolism, optimize your nutrition, support healthy aging, and take control of your health naturally. Thank you so much for watching. Take care of yourself, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next video.